everybody, Andy here. Today I have been thinking about... Oh, why are you crooked? I think the camera angle is crooked. Whatever. I am not willing to fix that right now. So, I was thinking today about about something that a professor asked me more than a year ago. Because I do. Sometimes it takes me that long to come up with good responses to questions that I am asked. And what it was is he asked me why I never write in my books. And there's been lots and lots and lots of people on BookTube who talk about this, and the reasons that they cite have never felt like the reasons that I don't write in books, which is to say, I'm not so attached to a pristine page that I am unwilling to write in a book. You know, what I told him at the time was, I have never had any inclination to write in my books. I've never felt the need to underline things or to highlight things or whatever. I've never, you know, it's not something that enters into my head as an option, but that still didn't necessarily feel quite right. I mean, like, while it's true, I feel like there has to be some sort of overarching reason behind why I don't feel the inclination to do that, because, you know, it's a very prevalent thing, especially among, like, my English professors. They write in their books, they underline things, and, you know, there are people on YouTube like Ariel Bissett who used to not do it and started to and found that it was fabulous and didn't, like, and there are ideas for annotating books that I really enjoy and want to, like, do. Like, I want to find a book that I love and annotate it and then send it around to all of my friends who also read and have them annotate it and eventually have it come back to me annotated by all of these different people that I love, and just have that. It is such a wonderfully brilliant idea and I love it, but I don't write in my books. And so there's this disconnect between, like, yeah, I'm okay with the idea of writing in books, but I don't do it. And I think today I thought of what might be the base reason for why I do not have the inclination to write in my books, which is that I have been taught from a very young age that writing in your books is not acceptable. In school, when you're very young, you get given textbooks. You know, you don't have to buy textbooks when you're in elementary school, they get given to you, and through middle school and high school. And those books are books that you have to give back, and that have to still be in good condition when you give them back. And this even continues into college a little bit, because when you rent books, you're supposed to give them back in good condition, otherwise you're probably not going to get, like, any money back for them. Or if you, like, sell books back, you're not going to get as much money if they're in terrible condition. And, like, those kinds of things. And so, you know, you're not allowed to write in those books, you're not allowed to highlight in those books, and even when I would get my own books, I wouldn't write in them because I'd already developed the habit of not writing in books because it was never allowed. It was never something that the outside world allowed me to do, and so I just developed this mindset where it wasn't even an option. It wasn't a possibility for me to write in books, and in a way, it's almost difficult for me to even, like, to write on any kind of, like articles that are printed out just on regular printer paper. It's hard for me to highlight and write on those too, and, like, they teach you how to do that in high school a little bit, so it's less of a taboo to do that, but in my head, it's still connected with that. You're not allowed to write on academic things or, you know, things like that because of this mindset that's been instilled in me since I was very young, that you're not allowed to write in books because you have to eventually give them back. And somehow that evolved from you're not allowed to write in textbooks because you eventually have to give them back. And you're not allowed to write in other people's books because you have to eventually give them back and they still need to be in good condition, to you can't write in any books. Period. Ever. And not even like and it's not even that I'm imposing this you can't on top of on top of myself and how I relate to my books. It's that it has become so ingrained into my head from such a very young age that I no longer even consider it an option to write or highlight or use those kinds of outside references to help me organize my thinking about books. It's this thing where I don't consider it an option because I have spent so long with so many books that it is not an option with. I read books from the library far too often, or get books from friends, or get books from, or have gotten books from schools, or borrow books from professors or teachers of mine, that it is basically impossible for me to consider writing in my own books. I think I have one book of mine that belongs to me that I have ever written in on purpose, and that is because that book was so ridiculously bad. It was a nonfiction book about Harry Potter, which was published before all of the books were out, and it was so inaccurate and so badly researched, and with it postulated things without backing any of that stuff up with evidence, and most of the time they were wrong. So I got so angry with it, and there was nobody around me at the time who could be angry with me in that very specific way. So I annotated it instead. I wrote in it because I was that angry at it, and that's the only time in my entire life that I remember actively, like, deciding to annotate and write in a book. And I don't know, ever since he asked me about that, it's kind of been in the back of my mind that maybe I should try, and maybe I should, like, start, and especially as it's something that comes up in BookTube all the time. I think because there were so many people on BookTube who were against writing in books that it kind of validated why I didn't want to a little bit, even though it was for different reasons. And I think also Ariel Basset's videos about how she did try it and how, like, freeing and wonderful it was makes me want to try it, because it isn't something that I've really done except for that one book, and it's one of those things where but whenever I think about doing it, but whenever I bring myself to write in a book, it's like I kind of want to start annotating and writing in books because I want to see whether or not it's something that works well for me, but every time I think about it, my brain says, not this one. You can't start with this one, start with a different one. But it does that with, like, every book. So I don't know if it's just this stumbling block that I need to try to get past and just, like, pick a book and try to not care, or if I need to start with a book that I've already read a million times and start annotating it, because part of me doesn't want to annotate a book where I haven't read the whole story yet, and that doesn't make sense to me at all, but that's, like, what I'm feeling, and I don't know. I also don't know what the point of this video is. I guess I'm still working through all of this, why I don't write in books, and why I want to, and how I want to, and what I need to get over to do that. I don't know. I'm in the middle of the process, and so I feel like making a discussion video while I'm in the middle of the process is helpful for me. So if watching this video, you, whoever you are, feel like this is something that resonates with you, or this is something that is confusing to you, please leave a comment, continue the discussion. I am not exactly sure where I am on this issue, because I want to write in my books, but I also do not want to write in my books, if that makes sense. So yeah, please leave a comment. We'll have a discussion and we'll figure it out together. I'll see you in the future. Bye-bye!